Welcome to the AirBnB Blueprint Podcast, your go-to training hub for building your very own Airbnb business. In each episode, we break down the exact blueprint that helps us build a multi-six-figure Airbnb business from scratch, and we'll show you how to do the same. Continue learning with us for free in the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community on Facebook. Find the link in our show notes below. Commit, believe, succeed. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode. Thanks for joining us. We've got Pooh with us again.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to get into the money mindset.
The money.
Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Right. Rent to rent. And I think the reason why it's so popular and the reason why management and maybe what we're doing, which is selling deals, inquiries and making money that way, isn't as attractive or exciting or as sexy is because people are like, yeah, but I want the big bookings. I want that big chunky booking and that, you know, that big amount of money. And I want to dig a little bit into that because, again, these courses, the training courses, someone will stand up on stage and say, hey guys, look at me. I just got a £10,000 booking. And that's what people see, the £10,000. They don't consider all of the other things, like all of the outgoings that are going out every single day, all of the commissions charged by the OTAs, all of your insurances, all of your maintenance, all of your linens and your cleaning costs, which are astronomical, the cost of gas, electric, all that stuff. And the fact that that £10,000 booking for however long it is really, isn't that much. It's only what you've been paid for. The amount of money that's in your bank account at that time, which might be 2,500 of that 10,000, right? That's how much that booking's worth. And then it can change the next day. They can go somewhere else. They can find somewhere cheaper. The work's ended. Everything's changed. And then before you know it, you've just been let down. So what I want to talk about is why people should shift their interests and their attention more to the smaller increments of income that is a lot more scalable without all of the risk, and start getting more excited and understand the power of that, almost like the compound effect, right?
Yep.
So let's get back into this idea around selling deals and inquiries.
Just before we get onto it, I think I've seen a post a long time ago, right? And I think it was saying that what would you choose if you had if you won £1 million or something? If you had that option to win £1 million, take home right now, or would you rather have a recurring income of £1,000 or £2,000 for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
And they would ask you which one would you choose?
Are you asking me?
I don't know.
What
do you think?
I can answer that probably by saying that I do play the Set for Life, the lottery.
Yeah.
10,000 a month for 30 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Because for me and my lifestyle, that's really good money.
Okay.
But then if somebody said, here, play the lottery, you could win £3 million, it wouldn't be for some reason as attractive for me. I'll always take that guaranteed set revenue each month.
Yeah.
I think that would be nice.
I would as well, because anything can change it, right? I'd rather have, let's say, I don't know, $2,000 coming in from one thing. Yeah. And then something else coming in from other things.
Multiple times.
And just keep adding them up. Yeah.
Scaling it.
You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. But would you agree that people are less interested in management and maybe now listening to us talking about the power of selling leads and inquiries and filling other people's properties, but instead of taking 100% of that booking, you're taking 15%, immediately they're like, oh, that doesn't really sound as interesting. I'm talking about before they understand it.
Yeah, I guess we have to ask the audience for, in that case.
Yeah.
I don't know, are you guys interested more in taking the massive bookings, but you never know what's going to happen next? Or would you rather have a recurring incomes that keeps going on and on and on, and that your business can scale, right?
Well, it can scale. And also, I think...
And if you stack a lot of them up,
stack a lot of them up.
It overtakes your main property income, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
but also, let's say that you get to a point where maybe the leads slow down or you're not able to sell as many on. It's not like, oh shit, the money's still pouring out. There is no cost to it.
Well, this is the thing, like, you know, sometimes like, this is from our experience and what we have seen, like no matter what you do, no matter like how much tweaks you do on your listing or you reach out to the companies, blah, 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 there isn't going to be anything. You're staring at a blank calendar on your screen and there's nothing that you can do because it's just, there's no demand at that point in time.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not talking about like a leisure market as well. This is more like contractor works. Like say, for example, sometimes if you have a really mild winter, you know, pipes are not breaking, people are still staying at home. Insurance companies work within that area is quite down, right? But it doesn't mean that it's the same in the north or in a different part of the country.
Yeah.
So if you can't fill your property because it's all blank and empty at that point, but it doesn't mean that the other part of the country, you know, it's going to be quiet as well. So, and that's what we're seeing all the time now. Like, you know, yes, sometimes quiet in your area, really busy somewhere else. So.
I mean, how many people, I'd love to know the stats. And again, you know, you guys out there can help us. How many operators that say have 3 to 5 units, when they're empty or when they're really struggling, are just sitting there and just waiting for those bookings to come in? And how many people are going, okay, this part of my business is struggling, so now I'm going to put more time and energy and effort into balancing or generating income to help with the struggling part of the business. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start generating leads for anywhere else in the UK.
Yep.
Because we are supplying bookings and inquiries and leads to the whole country. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of don't quite understand.
No.
They think, well, I've only got a couple of places in Oxford.
Yeah.
So I can only accommodate people that want to come to Oxford.
Yeah.
No, but we're working with, we have people call us and say, you know, we need a place in Liverpool for 5 months.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Yep, no problem.
You know, we'll go out there and we'll find it and we'll take a piece of that booking.
Yes. Yep.
I don't think people understand that because we know, because a lot of our mentees that we work with, when we talk to them about the power of this, and they say, oh yeah, you know, I know 1 or 2 people in London or, you know, wherever they're operating. And we're like, no, we're talking about the whole country.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to say, like, this is more like a mindset thing as well. You know, being an entrepreneur, you have to sell, right? But being in the property business, you have to sell to a certain degree, but you don't really have to sell that much because the property sells itself. You know, so the selling bit is the one that sometimes makes people feel uncomfortable. You know, like say if you have to go and knock on doors, right? If you're like, I don't know, say you want to sell a house in a traditional ways, what would you do if you go and knock on doors? I mean, we've knocked on doors before, and it's intimidating. I trust.
Yeah.
I remember like when I knock on doors, one of the place, and she said I want to do some creative deal with them. And the lady came out with, she was cooking. She's mad as fuck.
With the big meat cleaver.
And I think, I don't know, not as bad. And what came up from my mouth, you know, wasn't like, I want to do deals with you. I was like, I asked her like, have you seen the Chinese restaurant down the road? Double Dragon, I work there. You know.
Guess you didn't get that deal.
No, of course not. Yeah. But it was an experience. But that's the comfort of, you know, you have to kind of get used to that comfort of selling. It's very intimidating at first, but I think if you can get over that hump, right, then it gets easier.
Yeah.
You start, you know, like you grow, your skin is a bit thicker, like a crocodile. So. But I think it's the same thing with selling inquiries as well, that you want to go to speak to your other partners in a different area, different location. That can sometimes be quite intimidating because people will be like, oh shit, I have to sell that deal. So am I okay to charge my money? That sometimes people like ask me like, am I all right to charge? Like, can we really charge this booking? I said, yes, of course. Go freaking make the man, you know. You don't
Airbnb don't ask you if it's okay.
No, yeah. It's really important thing that, you know, people have that kind of attitude and the right mindset to, you know, it's okay to sell things.
I mean, you have to understand, every time a client calls us that process didn't just happen. You know, they didn't just randomly pick up the phone and randomly dial a number and we answered the phone. That relationship has been nurtured over time, which has required our time and our skills and things that we've spent money on to learn. And then we're just passing it down the line. So there is always a cost to it doesn't have to be a physical walking into a shop and handing over money for a product. It's a real thing. It's a relationship. There's time invested and that time has money. So you should never think or worry about charging someone for, you know, and it's also the same for, you know, this is a little bit of a gray area because whether you're selling deals and stuff like that, you need to be, what's the word?
Shit.
No, I can't think of the word. You need to be compliant. You need to be compliant, right? So I'm not promoting going out there and just and selling deals. But if somebody comes to us and says, because, you know, we've got a reputation, we've got a client base and audience, and they come to us and say, look, I'm struggling to rent my place. Can you find me someone that will take it on as a corporate let, as a rent to rent, whatever you want to call it, guaranteed rent? If we then match those people, I'm happy to charge a fee for that because they've come to us through time that we've invested into building that audience.
Yeah, true.
So it's the same thing. You got to understand your value.
I find one of the things that I do see happen a lot as well is when you're trying to sell the stuff to other partners, and one of the hurdles that you have to get over it is they'll be asking you like, so how much are you going to make out of me? You know, people just hate that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same thing when you go to take on any management work as well. People are always concerned about like the money first at hand. And I think that's something that I want to, I don't know. I mean, that's something I have worked, you know, myself really, really hard to kind of let go of that part and just find a way around it. Because like when we're trying to pitch like management deals to other people, the landlord the first thing they would ask is like, how much are you going to make? And I said, why are you concerned about money we haven't made yet? You know, why are we worried about
nothing without me?
Yeah, where is that? You know, why are you worried about that 10 grand, 20 grand that we haven't even touched yet? You know, let's worry about this thing right in front. Are we gonna get along or not? The gut feeling is the most important thing, because if you know that you're meeting that type of person and you're like, oh man, I'm not gonna get along with that person, don't do a deal with them. You know, you can choose. So
yeah,
you can walk away from that partners, just find another partners that are willing to, that have the same ethics, the same core values that you.
Because otherwise it's going to be a frigging nightmare.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know, these people that are penny pinching and how much are you going to make off me? And
I mean, we've done that. You know, I've taken on like deals, the management deal where I was compromising everything, just trying to please the landlord, the investors. You know, we're trying to do everything for them, and it's never going to be enough. Never. You know, because they just want more. Sometimes we make them like regular, you know, £3,500 per month. They didn't have to lift a finger. And if they were to let it out, usually it's, you know, let's say, I don't know, £1,200 a month on standard AST. We were making them 3.5 every single month, consistent for a whole year. We still get complaints every day. Like, why are you not making more? And why are you taking too much? And then in the end, we were like, you know what? You can have it back.
You can have it back. To some extent, it's like human nature, isn't it? Whatever you make someone, it's like, why aren't you making more? Why aren't you, you know? But until they've got that amount, you know, bite your arm off to be making that amount when they've got nothing. It's always that way. It's always relative to.
And recently as well, we help other people to claim the capital allowances, you know, because before the cutoff date. And they were like, well, it didn't quite hit the figure that we were hoping for. Like you got 50 fucking grand in your bank, like, you know, in terms of tax rebate back. You didn't have that 50K to begin with. They were hoping for like 80, 90K, and you know, and it's like, what? It's, I don't know. It's just I don't understand that's the part, you know, like why is everyone so greedy to begin with? You know, why can't we just be happy in the stuff that we have, but we keep expanding our
But I think the point of this episode, you know, talking around money and like I said at the beginning, is the power of just how scalable, you know, selling these inquiries is, and the balance of income potential versus the amount of work that's required is so powerful compared to taking on the property and all the risks that go along with it and signing the contracts and being on the hook for that every single month. Whereas with this, you know, like we've spoken about, once you've generated the lead, you've sold that deal, and then you're making money every single month. And
it's just something that sometimes you can't explain to other people. the feeling that you can actually make money ethically and without having to spend a lot of time at it. That is the really, really hard thing to say to other people, that, man, it's too good to be true. That's, until you have experienced it and you're like, oh, actually it is true.
The reason why, people might be listening to this and thinking, well, why are you only just now talking about this? But it's because the market is shifting. And if we'd have started trying to push this stuff and promote this stuff too much 12 months ago, people are still so fixated on rent to rent that they're just not interested in it, because the first thing they say, I've never really understood it, but the first thing they see is, well, that's only 15% of that booking. I want the full amount. Yep. And it's like, yeah, but what about all the outgoings and the risk? You don't get that full amount, but they just see the money arriving in the account of the 10,000, but they don't see the 8,000 going out the other end. Yep. As the market's changing, as the TOMS is being scrapped, as the supply, or the demand and supply is getting completely skewed. And as people are now starting to see in all the groups and the posts that people are genuinely struggling, people are selling off blocks, people are selling off businesses, trainers are leaving, because they realize that the heyday is finished and it's over, Hopefully you're starting to see that isn't the golden goose. This is what you should be focusing on. Selling deals, selling inquiries, generating huge amounts of money without having all the risk and the work. Yes, it's smaller increments, but so much more scalable.
Yep. And we're not saying that, you should pack up your business and just start doing this. I think it's important to have different kind of revenue streams coming in. And this is one of the revenue streams that you can, it can help to escalate your, catapult your business straight away.
Yeah. Not only once you're generating leads and selling them onto other hosts, but when you learn how to generate leads, you start filling your own properties as well.
Yep.
So it's like, you kill two birds with one stone.
Yep.
Rather than just sitting there waiting for Airbnb or Booking.com to charge you for the privilege, learn how to do it yourself. And we're going to start promoting that and selling that and teaching that in our community. So again, head over to the show notes, find the link for our group, Airbnb Blueprint. It's all going to be going off in there. Like I said, we're going to start focusing more on lead generation, selling inquiries, selling deals, and making money the smart way in 2025 and beyond.
Can I just say one thing before we wrap up?
Please do.
So we're going to be running a challenge, because I think it's something that would excite a lot of people.
We like challenges.
Always challenges. You can't really explain until you've done it, right? So I think it's good that we maybe we can pull together like a challenge pack, challenge day, challenge week or something, and see if people can actually try to close a deal.
I mean, you still, every time you sell a deal, it's like you've sold your first deal.
Yeah. the amount of dopamine and adrenaline that comes to me from selling deals is insane. I love it.
Because it feels like easy money.
Yeah, it's the best, make the best use of my time, because I know that my rate, like if I have to work the whole entire day, right, in the corporate world, I would never be able to make that rate. Not a chance. I mean, one of the most expensive accountant that I've ever worked with, their rate was like £350 per hour. Our clients, their mentees, sold a deal, spent 2 hours on it, and she made £800. That's 400 quid for selling one deal, one-off deal. Yes, that one was a one-off, but she made, 400 quid and in 2 hours.
You don't need many of those in a month to be doing pretty well.
Yeah. So
all right, cool. So we'll run that challenge.
Let's do a challenge. I think that's going to be cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. Sounds good. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for listening, tuning in. And don't forget, head over to the group. If you're interested in this stuff, going to get interesting, and we'll show you how to make some real money.
Cool.
Thanks for coming. Guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Another episode of the Airbnb Blueprint podcast. Take care.